You know you really don't have to do that.
But it's my job.
You remember what this channel's about, right?
It's not about you.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Choppy Flops. Alright, guys, we're here again covering another episode of Loki right on time. Definitely not a week late. We are definitely going to be spoiling pretty much the entire episode and the entire first episode. If you aren't caught up, I'd recommend going ahead and watching the episodes. At least definitely watching the second one. And if you want to, go ahead and catch up by watching our video covering the first one. It'll get you up to speed on where we are at on our theories and how we feel about the entire thing. Before we get into it, I ask that you go ahead and like, subscribe, and make sure you share the video with somebody who's into Loki, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, let's go ahead and get some theories down in the comments. Let us know what you think of the episode. Let us know what you think about our theories and, you know, what we have to say about everything. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the recap of Loki Episode 2. Alright, babe. You got it from here?
What am I supposed to say?
I'm just messing with you.
All right, well, here we go.
I mean, you said it was your job. No, I'm just fucking with you. Okay. So to start the episode off, we have an intro set in Oshkosh, Wisconsin in 1985 at a Renaissance fair. We see a unit of the Minutemen hunting for the variant of Loki, and we see one gets taken over, and there's a fight scene with the song Hero playing behind it. Although unique to this attack, we actually see that the variant of Loki kidnaps the person that they brainwashed. We see what I'm going to go ahead and refer to as Loki Prime, talking to what seems to be a sentient version of the clock from the animation in the first episode. Not long before he's taken to a briefing about going to this Renaissance fair and trying to see what's going on and kind of, you know, see if they can find this variant. Loki Prime is given a jacket that has the title Variant across the back of it before Mobius offers a audience with the Timekeepers if he cooperates. Once they show up back in 1985, Loki asks Mobius why they can't just show up earlier in time, and Mobius explains why they have to kind of move forward in a chronological order. This causes the rest of the unit of the Minutemen to doubt Loki's knowledge and ask him if he knows what the charges are for. Loki explains that the charges are essentially to reset the timeline and disintegrate everything in the area. While inspecting the site of the attack, Loki tries to trick the Minutemen into thinking that, you know, the variant has a trap set up, but Mobius sees right through it. Finally, we get to see what a reset charge looks like when it's used before we cut to the director of the TVA's office, where there's a debriefing and a meeting between Mobius and the director. While in the meeting, Mobius discusses that there are multiple artifacts from different jobs that he hasn't done, and that there must be other analysts that work closely with the director as much as he does. He signs some paperwork with a suspicious pen before going out to discuss things with Loki about how the job went at the Renaissance Fair. It's here that Mobius argues that the variant that they're hunting is actually superior to Loki Prime, and that he believes that that's the reason that he thought that Loki would actually help them, because he couldn't stand the thought that there was another better than him. Mobius informs him that his last chance at being seen as compliant is going to consist of just doing reading work. He sits him down to read a bunch of files, but he can only read his own files and the ones pertaining to the case. While going over these files, he discovers the event of Ragnarok. He has a brilliant idea, and he goes to discuss it with Mobius. He explains to Mobius that in an apocalyptic event, there would be no variant energy, there would be no way to detect a variant, so that's probably where the variant of Loki is hiding. Skeptical about this, Mobius takes Loki to the event of Pompeii, so that way they can test the theory. Loki is proven to be correct, and they travel back to the TVA to try to find some sort of connection to an apocalypse and where the variant might be hiding. Whilst trying to think of something, they both debate the whole of existence and the timekeepers and everything that the TVA is and stands for. While doing this, Mobius discovers that they can use the gum from the first episode and cross-reference that with the knowledge they have about the apocalypse. This results in them believing that the variant is hiding in a disaster in Alabama 2050. Once they arrive, though, the head commander of the Minutemen decides to split Loki and Mobius up and take Loki with her and tell Mobius to take some of the Minutemen. The variant of Loki sees everything that's going on through some cameras, and so sets a timer and walks away. We then see a random shopper amongst the entire disaster, and it seems very out of place, but the head commander goes and tries to, inspect him, but she's then knocked out and seemingly taken over by the variant. Loki Prime and Variant Loki then have a conversation, with Variant Loki switching throughout multiple bodies throughout the entire scene. It's during this conversation that Mobius and his crew of Minutemen find the leader that was kidnapped earlier in the episode. However, she's petrified and seems to be in a state where she's just continuously saying, "It's real, it's real, it's real." We cut back to the conversation and find out that the Variant Loki has no interest in taking over the TVA or working with Loki Prime. And then we quickly cut back to that head of the unit from earlier in the episode, only to find out that she's given away the location of the Timekeepers and pretty much all of the information that Variant Loki needed to know. Variant Loki keeps Loki Prime busy with a fight with a man much bigger than him, and while doing so sets up all of the charges that they have collected throughout the last 2 episodes. Loki Prime charges Variant Loki and asks what this is all about, before Variant Loki says this isn't about you, and reveals that he is actually a she. It's right after this that we see where the charges are actually going, and little time portals open up and they drop in to all sorts of unknown places. Only to find out a few seconds later that she had essentially bombed the entire sacred timeline. She opens up a time portal and walks through after waving goodbye to Loki Prime, and Loki Prime thinks for a moment before seeing Mobius and his Minutemen running and trying to catch up, and then he walks through behind the Variant Loki, leaving Mobius and his Minutemen completely empty-handed and pretty much screwed. Mobius lets out a fitting, "Damn it!" and then the credits roll. I mean, this episode, I cannot believe how it ended. This shit got so insane.
It did.
Like, Jesus, man. This completely changes everything. I mean, the ramifications for what just happened, I mean, it sets up so much, and at the same time, like, it just opens the door to so much.
I was about to say that, yeah.
I mean, like, it clearly sets up a lot of the, mess that's going to be the multiverse, the timeline, when it comes to Spider-Man and Doctor Strange too. But, I mean, the doors that it's opened to so many things. I mean, they could pretty much right away and explain any plot hole now in the entire MCU, now, past, or future. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was brilliant that they did this. On top of that, the reveal that the variant they're hunting for is actually, a female. I mean, sorry, I don't exactly feel bad for him, but fuck all those people who were pissed off that, it was revealed that he was gender fluid.
Yeah.
I hope they're fucking livid, dude. I'm so glad that they revealed that, because if you didn't like that he was gender fluid, well, fuck you. Then now you definitely ain't gonna watch the show. If you didn't like it, we don't want you watching it. It's basically what they said. But I mean, there's a lot more to the fact that it's a female Loki, the broken horn, everything that actually, a lot of it all points to something I want to go over later. But first, let's talk about that intro, the fight where they used the Hero song. I thought that was pretty cool because, I mean, as you know, we actually had just watched the He-Man trailer earlier that day, which also uses the same cover of that song. So that was pretty cool, a little coincidence there. One thing I did want to mention is that during that scene, it says, "Oh, the prize is our princess." So, I wonder if that was kind of a little bit of a foreshadowing to the fact that later we're going to find out, the variant is actually not a male.
It's possible.
I really think I think it was kind of supposed to be a hint, and kind of have people questioning, like, maybe?
Right.
Because people, I'm sure there were already, plenty of people already thinking that the variant could have been a female, especially because, like I said, they were cloaking her face and not showing her, and I mean, now we know why. Mm-hmm. So it makes a lot more sense. Okay, and now getting to that conversation that he was having with the clock. Something I found a little bit interesting about it. It was a funny little moment, with him, slapping it around or trying to slap it and all that good stuff. But the clock actually mentioned that if they can't reset the timeline, then that would cause the collapse of all reality. What? I don't think after the end of this episode they're going to exactly be able to reset all the timeline.
No.
It's very, very plausible that even if they fix most of it, that they miss one.
Yeah.
With everything that got just thrashed at the end of this episode on the timeline, there's no way they can reset everything fully and it go perfectly. Like and the timekeepers, like, something's gonna happen with them, I'm sure, in the next episode. Like there was a ton of focus on them in this episode, and we'll get to that. But like, they've got to show up because they've got to be pissed.
Yeah.
With what just happened. I mean, hell, you see even the director, when that happens at the end, she grabs that glow stick thing and walks off, and she's ready to go too.
So would you call that a pruner?
A pruner?
Because that's how they prune.
I guess so, yeah. I guess that is what you call them, huh? So yeah, she grabs her pruner and is ready to get to work, man.
Ready to prune.
Yeah, so like, I mean, so clearly, you know, shit's getting real. Shit just hit the fan.
Right.
And they ain't just gonna let that go.
No.
You know what I mean?
I wonder if that's part of getting the timekeeper's attention, though.
Yeah.
Because C20 already told her how they can, like, she said that she told her how she can get hold of them.
Right. What I'm wondering is if she maybe, because she's not, she said herself she's not interested in ruling the TVA or anything like that. So it makes me wonder if maybe she's trying to lure them out or use their power for something else. You know, just manipulate the timekeepers specifically. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't need the TVA for anything like that. She just needs the timekeepers to do one thing. Or maybe she's trying to piss them off and just cause that, you know, collapse, that multiversal war they were talking about in the first episode. You know, maybe she's just trying to fuck shit. I mean, hell, maybe she's just a better god of mischief than Loki, and she's just trying to cause mischief throughout the entire timeline. Maybe she's just trying to screw everything up for the fun of it, for the chaos. Right. It would make sense, honestly. If she had no real motive, I'd be okay with that. So speaking of the variants and the different versions, they actually, in that briefing, they go over the fact that there's like a bunch of different versions of them, and they show like the big one, the big like hulked out looking one, like looked like a troll or something, and there was like one with like a bone skull helmet that looked like it was from Skyrim or something. It was funny because as they were going through all those, it was like it reminded me of like when you go through a character's video game skins. Yeah. Like, you know, just swiping through them. That I thought that was pretty funny. But I'd love to see some of the other variants, because there's no reason they can't, you know, throw another variant in, you know, say episode 4 or 5 or hell even 3. You know, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we know that it's mainly the Loki Prime and, you know, variant Loki, but, you know, like, I don't see any reason that they can't bring another Loki in. Right. And actually, during that briefing, he actually kind of goes over a little bit of a clarification of his powers, that, you know, the illusion casting and, I forgot what he called the other one. But basically
the manipulation, I think.
Yeah, basically he deferred, you know, the fact that there are multiple different powers, but they're not exactly all the same. I think really he was just trying to kind of get a leg up and be like, oh, I know more about myself than you do. Yeah. So, we actually find out that Loki, his primary goal is to see and get an audience with timekeepers. Mm-hmm. So I wonder what his end goal is with that. Like, what would he even say to them? I mean, how is he gonna convince them? He could barely convince Thanos to let him help again. And I mean, in Infinity War, he didn't convince it. Thanos was like, dude, fuck you. So what's he gonna say or do to the fucking timekeepers? Like, I don't know. I just think it's funny. But I am curious to see what his actual plan for that is. So I mean, we're just gonna have to find out, because I'm for sure that we're gonna at least see the timekeepers. Because, dude, in this episode, the amount of times that it focused on statues of them, imagery of them, like, everything, just, it was constantly focused on them. And specifically, a lot of times, it had them framed to where the other two were kind of, you know, secondary, and the middle one was always the biggest one that was, you know, focused on. or zoom in almost on the middle one, or zoom out from the middle one. And so I think that middle one has got to be Kang the Conqueror, because I read somewhere that he got cast, not for this specifically, but like they cast him in the MCU. I don't know what he's supposed to show up in. I don't know if he's a timekeeper or anything, but I saw on one of my Facebook groups that people think he might show up in this show. And after thinking about it and thinking about Kang and how he is involved with the Marvel Universe, I don't really know much about the timekeepers or anything like that, but everything that I know about Kang, he does have a lot to do with time, so it would make sense if he is one of the timekeepers or the middle timekeeper or whatever. And so I'm starting to think that he's gonna show up, which I would love, because Kang is just a super interesting villain because he messes with time. Like I said, I don't really know much about him or the timekeepers or anything like that at all, but I would love to find out and to see more, to see him show up in the MCU and to find out what they want to do with him, because he's like a big level villain. Like he's no small fry. He's no Malekith or Yellow Jacket. He's on the level of like he's like on Thanos level, honestly. It's like him, Galactus, MODOK, Thanos. He's on that level. Yeah. I'm wanting them to set up Kang as a future villain, and just introduce him through the show, and I think that's what they're planning on doing. Kind of like Galactus is essentially going to be like the Thanos of the Infinity Saga, and Kang's kind of going to be like the Loki, where he's the initial big threat, and then behind all of it is, or not behind all of it, but like after all of it, you realize that he's nothing compared to what's coming, which is to be a giant planet eater. Because I do think they are planning to do something with Galactus, but I wouldn't be surprised if they saved him for a third major saga and made Kang the main focus of this one. Wrong! But we actually get kind of an explanation of why they have to go in chronological order and why they can't just go back to before an event happened. And I think it was a pretty solid explanation. I mean, there's a lot worse stuff that's harder to, understand or explain away when it comes to time travel. So I think they did a decent job of explaining that and not messing up what has come prior, considering Endgame messed with it so much.
Right.
But we actually get to find out what resetting timeline and using one of those charges fully means, and it's basically disintegrating everything in the area that's been affected or anything. I mean, essentially, you step on a butterfly, one of those charges destroys the butterfly, and the footprint,
so
and the footprint along with it. Yeah. I mean, and so, we even get to see it with the Renaissance Fair. We see, the jousting stick that was broken, everything else like that was used by the TVA is completely disintegrating and everything's gone.
The barrel that's out of place.
Yeah, in that general area. Now, I'm curious if it, affects anything. I wouldn't imagine that it affects anything that hasn't been, messed with. So it makes me wonder, how if you throw a bunch of reset charges in a bunch of places in the timeline that haven't been fucked with, what's a reset charge going to do when there's nothing that's been messed with? But I'm thinking that those charges have got to be multi-purpose. If they're able to make the timeline like snake off and branch off like that, then it must be a charge that can reset and put back.
Even the initial timeline kind of moved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The timeline like curved, and then it all branched off. So in order for it to do that, they can't just be reset charges. They have to also be able to work backwards and put things back or something like that.
Oh, for sure. Very interested to see.
Well, I cannot wait to see what bombing the timeline means and how badly that's going to fuck everything up. Right. Like, dude, I can't wait. Like I said, it opens a ton of doors and things are going to get super crazy from here.
Yeah, I want to know what is so real. She was freaking out about that.
Yeah, I want to know about that too, actually. I have that in my notes as well. I was wanting to talk about that. Like, what the hell is she talking about? Because she sits there and go, so I'm wondering if she means the timekeepers and, like, the infinite branches and all that Mobius is talking about later, because she says right after that, you know, oh, I gave away where they are and all that. You know, so it makes me wonder if, like, she somehow is taken there or something, but if she was
shown?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. It makes me wonder. But yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing that you are, is what the hell is she talking about when she's saying, it's real, it's real. I'm wondering if we're going to find out in the next episode or 4 or 5. I'm sure that most of our questions are going to be answered by 5, and 6 is, you know, going to be the big finale where, you know, everything, you know, I don't think we're going to get closure at the end of this series, per se, because of what's going on in it. But I think that in the final episode, we're going to kind of see where it's all headed and what exactly it's leading into. You know what I mean?
What if the road lizards? How Loki is saying that the 3 lizards?
Yeah.
Isn't that what Owen Wilson always says?
Oh yeah, you're crazier than a road lizard. Yeah, the timekeepers are the road lizards. That's the ultimate twist of the episode. Of the series. That's what we're gonna find out in episode 6. So Loki tries to trick the TVA. It's total bullshit, and it's very obviously a ploy. Mobius sees right through it.
The sharp teeth but the sharper ears thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so the first time I was like, oh damn, like, he seems serious, but she left, like, what?
It
like,
makes a lot of sense.
Like, I was believing him, but then watching it the second time, I was like, oh yeah, that's total bullshit. Like, that's obvious. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously, because I watched it already.
The music helped a lot, though. I've noticed that.
It's not even just that. It's not even just that. Like, watching it over the second time, not being so entranced and engulfed in what's happening and everything that's going on, I was like, yeah, he sounds and looks like he's bullshitting. So, like, yeah.
And, like, looking for things.
Yeah, so, like, I see both why they believed it and why they thought it was total bullshit. But, yeah, it ends up not working, and the director and Mobius actually end up having that little debate over whether or not he should go and keep him around. Now, one major thing that I want to go over that I noticed is, so he's talking about the different artifacts, and, you know, that didn't come from me, you know, what other analysts do you work with, you know, I thought I was your favorite, blah, 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 blah. So clearly there's another analyst that works extremely close with the director. Now, what I think is that I think it's a variant of Mobius. Because there's a lot of bits in that conversation where he mentions that, oh, you know, I thought I was your favorite, you know, oh, well, you know, am I better than that one? Or, you know, oh, you know, like, it almost sounded like how Loki has been talking about variant Loki. There was just a lot of hints about, you know, oh, I didn't get you those things. You know, those weren't from my cases. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there was just a lot of focus on, you know, that's another analyst. And they specifically named out specific items, like the pen and, like, there was a case and a snow globe that he mentioned, I think. Yeah. And so...
and yet the ring thing...
yes, that was another major thing. Is when I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to say when he sets the thing down, and she said, "Oh, those rings were left from you." I think that was a slip up on the director, because he didn't seem to remember that he left those. They're there already, and now it could have just been like those were, you know, like, just as a gag. But I really do think that. He was like, you know, oh, those were there already, you know, I thought that it didn't matter. And she stepped up and was like, those were from you. Not remembering that they were from the other version of him. So I think she secretly has another version of him in her back pocket.
So I thought it was a version of Loki.
Like the variant?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, but she doesn't even like working with Loki Prime, though.
Right.
So,
And also, that's a female. It's a whole different story, and her objectives have nothing to do not align at all.
Yeah.
She has something else in mind. It's
Yeah,
not her.
exactly.
I just thought that would be funny that he's
think-
giving him a hard time about that variant, and
Right.
she has one of her own.
Right, that would be funny. No, I really do think that it's another version of him. Though we're gonna have to see. It might be somebody completely different, but I do think it's another version of him. It could be Casey. No, but Casey's clearly just a receptionist.
Yeah.
But one thing that Mobius actually goes over with Loki is that pretty much they all believe that the variant they're chasing is like fully superior to this Loki. And Mobius reveals that the reason he thought that he could work with them and that Loki probably would help is because he wouldn't be able to stand that there's another superior version of him out there. And I mean, it seems kind of like whatever, but like this one is very clearly superior to him, at least in the very sense that she's very much more traditional Loki, mischievous, straight up evil Loki, just wants to mess shit up, you know what I mean, as much as she possibly can.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we get to the point where he finds out, about where she could be hiding, that she's probably hiding in an apocalypse. And he finds out about Ragnarok, and that's pretty sad. It sucks. He finds out, everything was destroyed. We find out that 9,713 people died in the explosion, which is really, really sad, but surprisingly kind of low for how big of a planet and realm Asgard was. But at the same time, it wasn't like super highly populated, so it kind of makes sense. And in a way, Asgard is almost like, it's like a heavenly realm. It makes sense for it not to be super crowded.
Right.
And also, it's not exactly a planet. It's like a flat plane almost.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not this huge round globe.
Right. And maybe Thor was still able to get some out.
Well, yeah. I mean, it shows that he got like a quarter of them out.
So.
But even so, that's still kind of low.
That is.
But then again, like I said, it's not this huge, massive, sprawling
Right.
civilization. But yeah, no, it does suck for him to find out like that about Ragnarok. But it makes him realize that if there's an apocalypse and there's no, there's no one left to, no one and nothing left to cause a branch in the timeline, that essentially a variant could hide there and do whatever they wanted, mess with whatever they wanted, do anything, and it wouldn't affect anything, that they'd never be found or seen.
Step on all the butterflies they want.
Yeah, exactly. Step on all the butterflies they want, and the TVA would be none the wiser. Well, they go ahead and they test the theory at Pompeii. Oh, well, first, first he explains it with the salad. And that was a pretty funny bit. And of course, he grabbed Casey's drink and messed up Casey's lunch too, just for good measure.
Right.
They mentioned the fact that Loki not only would stab Mobius in the back, but has literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times.
I was saying, was it like 50 years?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, they mentioned in Ragnarok that he turned into a snake and then
bit Thor because...
No, he turned back into him and stabbed him.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, no, he
That's
did.
what it
He
was.
stabbed Thor when they were children.
Yes, that's what it was. Not that he bit him. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So they go to Pompeii, and Loki, causes a ruckus, tells everybody, I'm from the future, everything that's gonna happen.
Lets out the goats.
Lets the goats out. He says, run free. Lets them know what's about to happen to them and everything, and then, nothing happens. There's no variant energy, and he's proved right. I loved the stance that he gave when he's just like, he's like, yeah, I told you. See, as the volcano is right up on his ass. But the best part of that to me is when they come back from that scene and they're both just like enamored. They're just so excited. They're like, yes, we got a lead. You know, like, I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna figure out this, and I can't wait. And they're
we're gonna live forever.
Yeah, it's like two kids that are giddy for a sleepover, and it's just hilarious for me because the chemistry between them it is so great, and it's perfect because it's like when, you know, you find out that you're gonna, you know, get to go to Disney World or Six Flags or some shit like that, and you get super excited, you start making all these crazy plans, and, you know, getting everything ready, getting all sorts of hyped, and you're like, yeah, let's go! And then, like, an hour later, you're just like, are we going yet, dude? And it just, that excitement, once it dies down, it, like, bottoms hard. And you end up just being like, dude, come on. And that, you know, feeling of that epic excitement and that jump cut to just like, dude, why haven't we figured anything out? It's so perfect. And I think everybody has felt that at some point or another. After that, we actually get a scene where they're, you know, discussing everything, just, you know, kind of trying to figure out some sort of lead, kind of chit-chatting. And we found out that Mobius likes jet skis. Mm-hmm. And it's because, you know, pretty much everything sucks. And or eventually sucks. But jet skis are cool. And they always have been cool. And it's a perfect, you know, combination of form and function in one point in time. And he's never even ridden one, but he just likes the idea of it. I think that's pretty cute. Yeah. Pretty funny. I hope that at some point in the series we get to see him and Loki fucking rolling up on some shit on a jet ski. I think that'd be just the best. Hopefully, you know, like episode 6, like it's like a payoff thing, like, hey, yeah.
Yes.
Wanted to mention that they have a debate about beliefs and timekeepers and the TVA and all that, and whether this and Asgard and Odin, and whether this belief exists, whether this belief is correct or that. And I just want to say that conversation is very well done. It took a pretty safe route, I think, throughout the entire conversation. On top of that, I think it was actually a pretty solid and kind of deep conversation about religion and about beliefs. When they're talking about that, Owen Wilson actually, he's like, oh yeah, I did call you a scared little boy, and it reminds him of that blue gum that I mentioned that might come into play later in the first episode. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect it to come into play this quickly, but yeah, it ended up being super important because they cross-referenced that with the disasters and when that gum existed, and they find out that variant Loki could really only be hiding in Alabama 2050. In this huge hurricane that wipes out everything in the general area.
So was she trying to like? So she was trying to get caught. Or do you think it was?
It almost seems like it. No, I do think that she was trying to lead them there, to kind of, because the way she is, like I said, I feel like she's a better god of mischief. That she's not just gonna bomb the timeline just to bomb the timeline. Right. She wants an audience. She wants them to look and be like, where the fuck are they going? What? Whoa, wait. And try to stop it but not be able to. You know, so I do think she was trying to lead them there because it seemed too convenient.
Exactly.
Especially the fact that she had monitors on everything. She knew exactly what to do. She had a perfect plan all
that could
laid
be
out.
the store security cameras.
Yeah, but she had a perfect plan laid out from A to B. Even the, people, where they were lining up, everything. She had everything set up and planned.
Yeah, that's true.
So I do think that you're correct. I think that she did kind of try to lead them there. One thing I want to talk about them being led there is I freaking loved the chemistry before they left. Just to like I said, to speak on the chemistry between Mobius and Loki, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, just it's perfect. Like that moment when they're gearing up and he sits there and is like, oh, maybe a seat with the timekeepers. Maybe I can talk with them. And then, he's like, oh, let's take it one step at a time. And he's like, oh yeah, one step. Yeah, you're right. And then he's like, but here's some knives. And he's just like, oh yeah, You know, absolutely not.
Don't think
absolutely
so.
not. You know, like that's such a perfect dude. Like I said, they're like two little giddy little kids, man. And it's so great. Like I said, they work together so well, and they couldn't have cast Mobius any better. I'm so glad that we're essentially getting a Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston buddy cop show.
Yes. But see, he's had a lot of emotional things happen to him, Loki. So
like
I'm
very
wondering
quickly.
If, even though he did say to the variant, yeah, I'm trying to take over.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. I think that was a ploy.
Yeah.
For the variant.
No, I still think that he's got good intent.
So I think he was just
after seeing, like you said, he's gone through a lot of shit. I think after seeing everything he saw, I do think he still has good intent, and that he's not really trying to overthrow the timekeepers. I do think he wants to talk with the timekeepers and see what's really going on, because I don't think he trusts them or the TVA or what's going on. But I do think he's trying to fight for the greater good.
Yes. In
general. And I do think that's part of why he followed her without the TVA. Is because he wants to try to fix everything, but like I said, he doesn't really trust them.
He's trying to get on her good side. That's what it seems. Not like that's not why, but like
no, exactly.
Saying well, let's do it together. He's trying to see what her next. Well, he didn't know that then, but like he's trying to see what the variant's next moves are gonna be, and then he finds out who it is, and it's just like.
So something I wanted to mention about when they show up at 2050. I was watching it earlier for the second watch through, and I noticed that when they go to a different time, you actually see a timeline pop up, and it like swipe to either backwards or forwards to that little time. And I think that's just so cool. It's the little things like that, the little designs, the color palette of the show, everything they choose to do in the show is just so well done, and it fits really well. It's perfect. I love the feeling that this is all about time and the multiverse and just the wackiness that comes with both of those theories. Like it's so well done. I mean, down to the logo, the music, and just everything. It's so well done. Another thing I wanted to talk about though, when they get there, is so Loki gets split up and ends up having to go with that queen bitch, head commander of the Minutemen, and that was a huge fucking mistake. Because she tried to do it essentially to assert dominance, and because she didn't trust Mobius and him to go together. But then, even though she took him with, and even though he said, yeah, that's probably a version of me, she still approached him and didn't just go, ding.
Or hold it up like...
Here's the thing, even if it was a civilian, even if it wasn't Variant Loki, they're all going to get wiped out anyway. Just go ahead and reset him. Just to be safe. Don't go near him. Go, bam, from a distance. Those things are like this long.
Yeah.
There's no reason she had to sit there and go like this.
And it was like, she kind of put it up to him like, oh, be careful. That was
she basically went at him with her elbow.
Exactly.
It was so dumb, but...
arms linked to just...
Yeah, but...
That's what happens.
Yeah, it's dumb, but at least that was kind of dumb in my opinion. Of her. Not of the show. It was dumb of her. But she's kind of made out so far to be kind of an incompetent leader.
Yeah.
I mean, she clearly... look at Owen Wilson. He even says, try to keep a hold of your collar this time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'd think she'd learn.
Right.
But one interesting thing also is when he's walking around with... I think it's Randy that he's walking around with. There's somebody setting the charges.
Yeah.
So...
It's because Variant Loki... Loki in general, he doesn't have to stand still or focus like you would if you're using the Force or a Green Lantern or something. He doesn't have to concentrate on it.
Right.
He can just do it. He's that powerful. She mentions that she hates the name Loki. Now as a joke she said, "Oh, call me Randy," because that's whose body she's in. But saying that she hates the name Loki, it's kind of weird because you'd think that, it's a variant of Loki, but as it turns out, that's actually not a variant of, well, it is a variant of Loki, but that female version with the cracked horn and everything, all that, is actually a completely different version of Loki with a different name and everything. So I actually found this post on Facebook. It is essentially showing that her name's not Lady Loki. It's not a female version of Loki. Her name's Sylvie Laufeydotter. I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, essentially it is a female version of Loki, but different.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much all but confirmed that she's not Lady Loki. She's Sylvie Laufeydotter, or however you pronounce that. But yeah, so I find that very interesting, that she even said, I don't like the name Loki. I can't wait to see, how they're going to explain her and like what her motives are and how exactly, where she came from. Because, I mean, she can't be a version of, the Avengers Loki. They grabbed the Tesseract or something. That wouldn't make sense.
No.
So I'm very curious to see where they go with this. Okay, but another thing that I did want to go over is the fact that when he's fighting with the big guy with the beard that she distracts him with, he actually says, "Oh, I got shit to do. That's why I'm not facing you, or that's why she's not facing him in person." And we actually see that the shit that she has to do is what you're mentioning, that she's setting all the charges while she's just distracting him with all these conversations with all these different people. And might I add, dude, like the acting, not just from Tom Hiddleston, not just from Owen Wilson, not just from really anybody, but even from just the randoms, the new names, from the guy who played Randy, the big guy, pretty much everybody in this was super solid acting, man. Like, I've never seen their faces before, but I want to see them again. Like especially Randy. Like that was really well done. Like, he was creepy, man, but like in the best way possible. You know what I mean? So yeah, no.
He's the Azalea guy for me.
Yeah.
Like, I would.
Like there's something off, but in a good way. Like they pulled off that feeling of like that eerie, like oh, what's going on? Something's weird about it. Really well. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that they all do really good. But one thing I did. Okay, so outside of him saying, "Oh, I've got shit to do," and it being the actual, Sylvie going and doing all those, doing all the charges, outside of that, I do kind of wish that he would have not said anything, because during that scene, I noticed there's a couple parts where he just goes, and like laughs real creepily, and or it's not even like grungy like that. It's just like, like it's like. It's like, oh, you think you can actually, stand a chance, and I think it kind of ruins it when he starts talking. I think it would have been better, and this is taking from, I think it's in Arkham City or something like that. There's, no, it's Asylum. There's this part where you can talk to Clayface, and after you've gotten all of the little like dialogue options out, he just, every time you try to talk to him, he just laughs at you, and you can't get another response out of him. And it's just super creepy, and I think it would have been cool if Loki Prime was sitting there, trying to talk to Variant Loki and get him to say something, but because he's just trying to keep him busy while she finishes those charges, like, the big guy's just laughing at him. Just like, no, it's just irritating Loki Prime that much more. But, I do understand why they had him talking, why, they had him, oh, I got shit to do, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it also feels a little weird because I can't really picture Sylvie, Loki, whatever, saying, I have shit to do. And I like to be able to picture everything else that she had all those other people saying. I like to be able to picture her saying that as well, because she is embodying that herself through them. And that felt a little off. But, really, it's just nitpicking. It was still super good, and if that's the worst thing we got to worry about in the episode, exactly, then we ain't got much to worry about at all. So it's fine. But okay, yeah. So then she reveals that she's a she, and jaw drops Loki and pretty much everybody who's watching the episode. She bombs the timeline, which is absolutely insane. I can't, like I said a million times already, I cannot wait to see where that goes. And then Loki follows her through the time portal, and they go to God knows where. I'm really excited to see where they go, because they, it's got to be somewhere secluded. So are they going to go to another apocalypse or what? You know what I mean? But I'm excited to see where they go and what happens when they get there. The kind of conversation they can have, you know what I mean? Especially now that we're actually going to get some screen time from Sylvie and not just, a big reveal at the end.
Right, exactly. Now that's out of the way.
Right, exactly. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with her and what they're going to do with, because it's going to have to be like right when the next episode starts. So, I can't wait to find out. One last thing I wanted to mention before we close out is that music in this show is just phenomenal. There's one moment right after Mobius tells Loki, "Oh, we're good to go on the mission," and he walks away, and Loki, yeah, and the flare in the music that happens right there, that swell is just like, it's chilling and it's so good, and you're like, oh. And it's just like, fuck yeah, man. And like then at the very end, when the credits roll, the music is just stupid good. Like, it's just mixed so well. And the music, like you said earlier in that one scene, it kind of gives you the feeling that, oh yeah, he's just playing tricks. Like, it's just mixed and mastered so well. The sound design on this is insane. Mm-hmm. And if they don't win awards for it, I will be rioting in the streets. You can guarantee that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all in all, it was a solid episode. It's going to have huge ramifications for the future of the show and all of the movies to come. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen from here. I mean, like, this may be one of the most important episodes or moments in all of MCU history because of everything that it just completely wrecked. Like, this is going to be an event that is referenced time and time again for the foreseeable future. And that is insane to think about. But, I mean, we're just going to have to find out what happens. Episode 3 comes out, not too long from now, because, a week from now, because we're not a week late at all. So we're going to try to cover that as well. We're going to try to cover the rest of the show for sure. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you can keep up with that. Please leave a like at the bottom. It definitely helps out the channel. Leave a comment. Go ahead and let me know what you think about the show, where you think it's going, what theories you might have about what could happen now that the sacred timeline is basically destroyed, and where you think everything's going to go from here. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you thought about what we had to say, our theories, if you think we're right or not. Let's get some conversations going down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you like the video, don't forget to share it with someone else who you think might like it, who you think enjoys the show or the MCU stuff in general. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I hope y'all have a spectacular day.